Here we are once again with Dr. Vibrant White. He has a powerful word today to share on homelessness and America's gross negligence of the people. And I know he's a very busy man with the political aspirations, the community work that he's doing. He's a history professor, all of the above, author, speaker, anything good that you can mention, he is in his doing. So he's a valuable member of our community and of all communities because of the attributes that he possesses internally as a man, as a human being, as a man who reflects the goodness of the Creator. So I'm going to open the screen. I'm going to introduce our brother in and listen to his powerful words, and you need to listen closely. This is not just someone who wants to hear himself talk. This is a man who not only teaches history, but if you really know what he's about, he is history, and he's making history every single day. Brother, I want to welcome you on in. It's an honor and a pleasure as always. I can't just introduce you as any bubblegum guest because you're far above that. You're not a fad. You're a man of principle, and yes, principles never die. Fads come and go. No matter what goes on in the world, you're going to be rock solid in your principles, and you're going to be here to lead us. And I thank you for the life that you live. Welcome on in, brother.
Well, thank you, brother Lance. I pray that you're well, and your family is well, and I pray that the millions of people who are listening to your show, that they're well also. I love your introduction. With the plane, the LANCESCURV. I mean, that was beautiful. I can't wait to get on that plane. That's a beautiful thing. Yes, we live in a strange society now, one that is becoming more complicated, one that is becoming more rude in reference to how we treat each other as human beings. Today, of course, I want to talk about the homeless problem that we have not only in the United States, but throughout the Western world, in particularly. Yes. We also want to talk about how we treat our most vulnerable people, and where is the mind and the direction of the American government in reference to the people that it say it represents. And it's not a good thing. What I mean by that, what do I mean? First, when we talk about negligence of our society, we have 5 issues that are really taking place. We have a negligence in education, a negligence in employment, a negligence in housing, healthcare, and insurance. And all of this aligns and it comes into connection with the homeless problem. Now, this morning, I wrote a tweet, and the tweet was this. One, yesterday, President Zelensky of Ukraine visited the United States to beg for some more money for his losing war with Russia. And within this line, he asked for several billions of dollars. Well, he didn't get it, but he did get 200 million. Now, what is the issue with that? When I saw 200 million, I had to look at the county where I live, and that's Orange County, Florida. The major city in Orange County is Orlando. Now, the homeless budget, or the budget for the homeless in Orlando, is $43 million. $200 million could alleviate the homeless problem in Central Florida. Just $200 million. Then I began to connect that to the homeless problem throughout the country and how much money the United States have put into an ill-fated war Ukraine, a, a mythical conflict that they're trying to have with Taiwan, and the millions and billions of dollars they have sent to Israel in this conflict with Gaza. Now, when you put all of this together, the United States has put $2 trillion in these 3 episodes. $2 trillion. Now, that's remarkable because the homeless problem in the United States can be handled for $28 billion. $28 billion. And another $25 billion can handle poverty. That is people having sustainable food. All of this, less than $60 billion. But we put all of this trillions into conflicts, wars that have taken the lives of already over 25,000 in Gaza, about 500,000 at least in Ukraine, and no telling once the United States get their foot in Taiwan and try to start something with China, which they are, how many more hundreds of thousands we're going to lose in that conflict. So with all of this being said and looked at, I had to ask the basic question. What do we think about our most vulnerable group? Why have we neglected them? Now, the great human rights activist Mahatma Gandhi stated, you judge the greatness of a society in the manner how it treats its most vulnerable. That is the elderly, the poor, the widow, the homeless, that group, how you treat them. And America is not doing a very good job at it. Now, if you go to the records of SOURCE and SOURCE or SAMHSA, that is the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Service Administration. If you go to their website, you would see that the United States has no more than 100,000, 500,000 homeless. Well, that's a blatant lie. The United States, we have over 5, maybe almost hitting to 7 to 8 million homeless people. Now you say, how do you say this? How do you identify this? First of all, we look at how they define homeless people in the United States. One, a homeless individual is a person who is out of a shelter for more than 14 days. Now, what does that mean? We have a lot of homeless people in our neighborhoods among our family members. So therefore, they may go to a person's house to live for 10, 12 days, go to another person's house to live for the same time. But in the data, since they're living in someone's house, they're not homeless, technically. So they're not counted. What else? We don't count them even if they live in a car. They do not come up under the roll as being homeless. In a car, they looked upon as being like a mobile home. So they have a place. What else about this? They don't look at the fact that if you stay in a shelter for just overnight or two, you're not homeless. Now, a lot of people don't stay in shelters. Okay? So therefore, it changes the number and how it looks. So therefore, the numbers look very low, but in reality, they're very high. And that's a real problem. Now, here's another thing that's interesting. The homeless in the United States now, coupled with the issues of immigration, the American homeless are really left out the door. They cannot get to shelters because many of the shelters and many of the places that they used to have are now given to illegal immigrants coming across the southern border. We had a big uprising in Chicago the other night, whereby they were putting homeless people in gyms in the parks on the south side of Chicago. Now, anyone who knows Chicago, the south side is predominantly African American. And the people are saying, why are you doing this? Why are you putting them in our community? We already have a homeless problem. You're just making it more complicated. They didn't like it. There was an uprising. There was another uprising too, that the new immigrants who say they're homeless, check this out. They're giving them approximately anywhere between $1,000 to $1,200 a month. All right, that comes out of Social Security. Many of our homeless people, they don't get a penny. And I say many of ours because now there is a higher percentage of people of African descent as being homeless as compared to whites and Latinos in this country. It's off the chain. So you have people who are homeless, who are starving, who have no place to go. What else about this? These the data doesn't point to the fact that throughout the United States we're finding every night now over 1,000 people in this country who have died on the street. Every night, just dying on the street. You're finding them at bus stations. You're finding them in wooded areas. You're finding them in vacated homes and vacated apartment stores. Department stores. We're having this issue. And again, no one is saying anything. Now, what else is taking place? The homeless community now that's in the United States is not what you call the traditional homeless. One time when we saw the traditional homeless, we said, oh, these people don't want to work. They don't have no value in themselves. They don't want to do anything worthwhile for society. The new homeless now are working people. What do you mean working people? Well, first of all, inflation has skyrocketed in the United States. There's a report that came out a couple of nights ago and stated that by the year 2034, we're going to be a renter community nation. That means that very few people will be able to afford a home. Very few people. And very few of them will be able to afford rent. So the people who are homeless now are working people. Many of them are professionals. Many of them who have worked for 20 and 30 years and then lost their jobs or was downsized. And now they can't afford their homes. They can't afford to take care of their families. So now they're homeless. We have a case like this a few nights ago of a black lady in Apopka. That's a community outside of Orlando. She had a very good job at one time, lost it. Now she and her 7 children are staying in a pickup truck. And she's working every day, but cannot afford the apartment, the mortgage payment, can't afford a place to live. Now, how is that? Some of you say, well, you can always afford a place. There's another element about homelessness in the United States, and that is it is recommended that you do not pay more than 30% of your income for housing. Now, if you have to pay more for housing, then you have another issue. You have an issue of food, and we have, again, throughout the United States, millions of people who will go to bed hungry. Food insecurity. It's like we've never seen it before. All you have to do now is go to any store, shelter store that's giving away food, and you find lines of people in the United States. Now, this is very interesting because many of you who live in West Africa, you don't even think about this. You're busy running to the United States, running to England, running to France, running to Italy and Germany and Portugal, thinking that you're going to find a heaven there. Everything is good. You're jumping out of the fire, out of the frying pan into the fire. You're going to be hungry there. If you're hungry in Nigeria, don't you think you're going to be hungry in London? It's going to be worse because you don't know the culture. You're going to be lost. That's what's taking place. You know, in fact, about it, talking about this, I put it this way: the only country in the world that has a worse uh, record of homelessness than the United States in many respects is Nigeria. It's the only country. We have that going on there. So we have an element where the American people, their needs are not being met. Now, then you have another issue with this, and that is even in the shelters, when they go there, you have issues of diseases, viruses. So many people who go there walk away with illnesses, and they don't have the insurance to handle what is afflicting them. So now you have epidemics that's taking place in the United States. This is interesting. We have never seen anything like it before. Talking about homelessness, over 60%, 68% of all homeless people in the United States are people of African descent. 28% is people of the LGBTQ community under the age of 25. So we have that community. And of course, we have a number of young people. Now let's go to education. Well, it was taught to us for years that if we get an education, we can move up. Well, that's apparently is not happening. The education now in the United States at the secondary level is ill-fated, it's bad. The education that allows people to do something for themselves, industrialized education, has been omitted from the curriculum. So therefore, if you go to school and you go to college and you get jobs in sociology and things like that, guess what? There's a high likelihood that you will be unemployed. So we have a number of people with BAs and MAs and PhDs who are now driving taxis, who are now security guards trying to make a living. This is in the United States. Unemployment. That's something, as I just mentioned. Of course, the Biden administration talks about something called Bidenomics, which I cannot find anyone who understands a damn thing about it. They argue that, oh, well, the unemployment rate is low. Well, not quite. While it looks like it's 4 or 5 or 6% low, for the African American community, it's triple that. But they don't look at the fact that many people are having two jobs. They have a regular job to pay the rent or the mortgage, and they have to have another job to pay for their medicine and and their food. We have that in the United States. Let's go back to housing. Housing in places like San Francisco, Chicago, Los Angeles, Orlando, Florida is out of reach now. It's out of reach. Let's put it this way. For now, for a person to really have a decent house in my area, Orlando, and to be self sufficient or be able to live comfortably, you have to make about $160,000 a year. The average income in my area for a family is $48,000. Now let's take it to San Francisco. To have the same type of lifestyle in San Francisco, you gotta make about 250, almost $300,000 a year. Where the starting rate of a cost of a home is 1.2 million. In that area, the average income is $68,000 a year. And we see this trend taking place throughout the country. So now we have a community that's on the street. Literally. Any given city you go to in the United States, you see not 10, not 20, but thousands of people. Intense? If they're not intense, well, you go to the airport, you go to the baggage area, even at MCO in Orlando, Sanford International Airport, um, in Sanford, Florida, Daytona Beach, Miami International, Jacksonville, Tampa, ATL, JFK, LaGuardia, all of them, you find homeless people living there. It's so bad in Chicago and LA that visitors are complaining that they can't get around and they don't feel safe. This is the time. And so American political system is not hasn't been um, careful and hasn't answered the needs of the people. Not at all. Oh, let me tell you one thing I had mentioned earlier. I had mentioned that Social Security is given to illegal aliens over $1,100 a month. Do you know that for African Americans, that the average Social Security benefit package is $914? People who have paid into the system their lives, and that's what they get. That other people who have not paid into the system getting stronger benefits than the people who live here. What's going on with this? And why is it the congressional leaders, an office that I'm running for, and the senators and the Oval Office is not caring? I'll tell you why. When it comes down to African Americans, the African American now is an obsolete group in American society. You only need it now once every 4 years to vote for a president. But your needs are not being met, and they don't care. Years ago, Michael Jackson sung a song, a political song titled "They Don't Care About Us," and it didn't get a lot of coverage. It talked about Western society. It featured Brazil. It featured the United States. It showed people in ghettos. It showed people in favelas. It showed people in jails, primarily people of African descent. And the message was very clear. He was on to something. Your government that you have put your trust in don't care about your needs, don't care about your needs. So we're obsolete. So the question is now, what do we do about it? One, we have to begin to get a first agenda, an agenda that focuses on the interest of your community and the interest of the polarized communities throughout the United States. Now, how do you do this? You have to bring out specific things in your community, in your neighborhoods, in your towns, in your townships about what has taken place. Then connect it to the international market, to the international arena. How is this? Well, let's take it. First of all, the United States in July, President Biden signed an executive order to begin to send reservists to Ukraine. You say, okay, fine. Well, how about this? The majority, well, not the majority, but 28% of the American military are made up of people of African descent, primarily men. Why do they join the military? Do they join the military because they had this overwhelming patriotic spirit to go and defend the flag? Do they join it because, oh my God, they're so mad at Russia, they're so mad at China? They really want to punch North Korea in the nose? Do they join it because of that? No. Do they join it because, oh, I always wanted to join the Army, the Marines, the Navy, the Air Force, the Coast Guard? No. They join because there are no other opportunities. So it becomes an element of survival. A sister called me a few nights ago from what city she's in Fairfax, Virginia. Brilliant sister, has an MD. She was locked out of her position. Her position faded out with the hospital, so forth. And that's another thing I'm going to get back to. And now she's been living off of her credit cards for 6 months or so. They skyrocketed. And she is asking me about what do I think about her joining the military. Her argument is that at least if I join, I have a guaranteed job. This will never happen to me again. I couldn't argue with that. It's absolute truth. But not because she is wanting to go into a conflict. It's because she needed substance. That is what's taking place. Now, we're talking about closing. Well, we not only do we have hospital closings taking place, we have bank closings. We have, you know, Lance, they have Wendy's. You know, I know you used to like Wendy's back in the day before you started eating very well, you know. They're
You're right.
closing, you see. They're closing. You have Bank of America. They're closing branches. You have Trust Bank. They're closing branches all over the country. You have grocery stores closings. I mean, some areas now looking like ghost towns. I don't care where you live. You see the same thing. If you're in Massachusetts, if you're in Dearborn, Michigan, you're seeing the same phenomenon that's taking place all over the country. It's not a good thing. Then another element that I mentioned is insurance. Um, Lance, a few days ago, I
Yes.
had the chance to go to an area called Ola Vista. You know where Ola Vista.
Yes.
Um, and a couple
Hiawassee
of
and
years,
Colonial.
that's right. A couple of years ago, there was a major hurricane. The pond that they have in Ola Vista overflowed with excess water. Homes were up to had 6 and 7 feet of water in their homes. Cars were underwater. People lost everything. Now, God is my witness. I had a chance to visit some of these people who lived in these homes. Now, looking out, looking from the street to the house, you say, oh, these are beautiful homes. When I walked into the homes, they were frames, no walls, no bathrooms. People were living in squalid conditions. Middle class people in Orlando. I asked, did they try to get support from FEMA? Yes, but they didn't give too much, maybe a couple of $1,000 to put a down payment on a car. Did they get any support from the city commissioners? No. They came in and said they will help, but nothing has happened in 2 years. Did you try to get your congressperson? Yeah, they came in with Maxine Waters out of Texas and told us to stay strong. But nothing substantial. I never seen nothing like this before in this country. People having their bed on box springs, on concrete floors. Concrete floors. No walls, no water, no electricity, nothing. And they're hoping and they're praying that something will change. They called me out. I don't have any power at this stage. I'm helping some with grants now. And I was in bed, laying down a couple of nights ago, literally crying. What has happened to this country? Whereby we have people living like this. And it's not just in Orlando. It's all over the country. Something is sick. Something is not right. These people said they had insurance, but check this out. The governor of the state, and I'm just not going to put all of it on DeSantis because he has a legislature that signs off or disapproves on what he pushes. They signed off on it. They signed off on a deed that was done by the governor that made it difficult for people who have insurance to get relief from the insurance company. That is, for them to pay the policy. And now these people are in squalid conditions. And to be honest with you, some of the people in Ola Vista who live like them, at least 10 of them have died. Older people, 70, 80, 90 years old, no place to go, no more money. The insurance is not taking care of what it should. And our political leaders know it. There is a lack of civility that is taking place in our country. There's a lack of humanity. There's a lack of decency and love for your fellow human being. We're not living in a good time. And as this is going on, we have a president and a Congress. The only thing they can think about is the extension of war. The extension of war. Gaza. No matter if you agree with the Palestinians and agree with Hamas or hate them, the point is that the dropping of bombs, the explosive power of the bombs that have been dropped in Gaza is equal now to the explosive power of the 2 atomic weapons that was dropped in Japan during World War II. Is equal to that right now. Something. Gaza, to show you are insensitive to human beings, even our neighbors. Gaza, an area about the size of Philadelphia. All right, Philadelphia has about 1.2 million people, which is roughly about the size of Orlando, that has about 700,000 or less. And I'm talking about the district area, outside of downtown. And now you have Gaza, an area that has about 4 million people. Everything is destroyed. Everything. Schools, hospitals, neighborhoods. Nothing exists. There's even nothing more to be bombed. And we just gave them another $1 billion package of military armament for the Israelis. Something is wrong here. Even if you say Hamas did something terrible, what is an overkill? What is it? Something is not right. You see? And we're continually doing this. Something is also not right with us as people of African descent, our leaders. We have African American leaders. We have African leaders now that's in various stages of the federal government. If they're undersecretaries, if they're ambassadors, if they're diplomats, if they're spokespersons, they're following this narrative that it's okay to bomb these people. It's okay to we have to give people the opportunity to defend themselves. But when is enough enough? You know, for African American people and African people, we should have some more sensitivity. We talk about Martin Luther King and peace and love. We talk about self-determinism of Malcolm X. We talk about the struggles of Nelson Mandela. We talk about the resistance of Jomo Kenyatta and the Mau Mau in Kenya. We talk about the struggles of the Haitians with under Toussaint Overture and fighting for independence. We talk about the spirit of Nani in Jamaica, fighting for freedom. We talk about the Muslims in Brazil and the Colombos they developed. And if we talk about these things and we believe in these things, all about fighting against oppression, fighting to exist, and now we're signing off on the elimination of other people. Something's wrong with us. I heard an intellectual say the other day. He's on. Well, he's not intellectual. He's a sociologist. He's an educator. He's a brilliant speaker. He's been on various shows, breakfast shows and so forth. I can't remember his name, Dr. So and so. And he said that we should not worry about other people. We just have to worry about ourselves. And in some ways, I understand why he says that. Because he maintains that no one cares about us. Yes, he's right on that part. But you see, we are a higher man, like Bob Marley says. We are a greater man. We are the fathers of humanity. Humanity was developed in the universities of Timbuktu and Sakil. Humanity are locked into the hieroglyphics that's in Egypt. Humanity is locked into the religious and the spirituality of voodooists in Benin. Humanity. That's us. We, the directives of God, the Creator, we have to show a higher level of thinking. I don't expect it from other people. Why not? When they talk about modern man, the Cro-Magnon man, the thinking man, the man of civilization, that's us. When they talk about the Neanderthal, that's other people. And you don't expect the Neanderthal to be nothing but a Neanderthal, a killer. A bloodthirsty killer. But we have to be the standard bearer. So we're in a dire situation. And, brothers and sisters who are listening to me, we're the ones who are going to have to change this world. No one else. We have to put ourselves back in the forefront, our interest. We have to put ourselves back in the mix of decision making. We have to bring up the hypocrisies and the contradictions. Remember, during World War I and II, it was African Americans who voiced the alarm, not anyone else. We voiced the alarm. It was African Americans who attended the formation of the League of Nations, Du Bois and others, who had meetings in not Washington, but in London and throughout England about the state of the Black world. We have a role to play. And I pray that we accept our role and become much more stronger, diligent, much more aggressive in speaking out against wrong, much more loving to each other, so these issues that I have mentioned, that we can find a solution to our problems. For example, right? We have plenty of millionaires in the United States, Black millionaires. Instead of, signing off with them when they go on Facebook and show them laying down in millions of dollars and buying 50 cars and dressing up in 10,000 gowns that you can see right through. Call them on the carpet. What are you doing for our people? See, one thing I do have to say about the Jewish community at large, like it or not, they make it a program, they make it a policy to do for their own. And they oftentimes ask African Americans who are millionaires, why are you asking us when you have money to do for your own? But we're not doing it. And so therefore people who who have the abundance ask, why don't you to help develop hospital or medical centers in our communities? Why don't you give more money and aid to the struggling schools, black schools? Why don't you develop and help us develop industrialized educational centers that teaches mechanics and and plumbing and that type of thing, things that we need. Huh? Come on, Floyd Mayweather. Come on, guys. Let's do something that's valuable, that is long standing. You know, do something. With all the people that we have had in the past who has made millions, what did they leave? As great as Joe Louis, what did he leave? As great as Muhammad Ali, a man that I prayed with. Besides his legacy of fighting out, what did he leave three-dimensional for our people? What did he leave? If Oprah Winfrey dies today, and I'm not hoping that she dies at all, what will she have left for the development of our growth? It's very important. Arthur Ashe, what did he leave? You know, all of this. We're at a dire state. I'll put it like how utilizing the style of Malcolm. It's life or death for us, and it's life and death for the world. In reference to if we lead and get to our rightful place, the world would be a better place and it would exist and live. If we don't, all of this is going to fall. All of it is going to fall. All right, Lance. I hope I made some sense
Yes,
to
you.
you people.
Oh, you make a lot of
Um,
sense. Trust me.
you know, and there's a lot of things that's heavy on my heart. I want you to know they should know this ones who may have just listening to me for the first time. I'm running for the congressional seat of District 10 in Florida. That's primarily Orlando, Orange County, a very important district. I'm running on principle, the principle to do what is right for our people, the principle to do what is right for all polarized people in this country. I'm running on the essence of God. You know, so many politicians try to run away from God. But as a man of African descent, the spirit and the spirituality of our people is in me. And the spirit of the creator is there too. When a man or a woman denies his spirituality and his belief system, he or her doesn't is not a man or a woman any longer. They become a slave to somebody else's ideology. So therefore, my spirituality is flows through this campaign. I'm running on a campaign that deals with decency of family, the nuclear family. Why is that? Especially for African Americans. When you don't have a strong male in your home, you don't have a strong community. So there I am pushing for a return to the natural order of things. Strong men, Men, do your part. Get involved with your children. Love your family. Work hard. These is the pillars of our community. I am campaigning on an element of ceasing or the reduction of the military complex that has taken over the American government. What does that mean? We have almost, no, not almost, we have over 900 military bases throughout the world. Some of you may say, well, China has a lot of military bases. I beg your pardon. China has 3 military bases outside of China. 3. Russia has 5. The closest to the United States is England with 45. We have over 900 military bases. Congress, just before the crisis, signed off for another military base to be built outside of Gaza, controlled and operated by the Americans and Israelis. Right now. And they also approved to keep illegal military bases in Iraq and Syria and Kenya and the Congo. A lot of places. We can't have that. I'm also running on the issue that everyone has a right to determine their own destination, as Bob Marley says, and their government. We have no right to try to tell Ghana or Senegal how to live, to tell them that if they want our money, they have to accept an LGBTQ agenda. We don't have that right at all. I'm running against that. I'm running against the principles of American hegemony, that we are the controllers of the world. We as Americans must understand and realize we are part of the world, and that we have to have a good neighbor's policy. We have to stop dividing the world up, they with us or not. We're all on this small marble that we call Earth. And we're either going to exist together or we're going to die together. So instead of having a problems with BRICS and a problem with the global South, just live. All right? And understand each other, the basic golden rule. I'm also running on the principles of responsibility to our ecosystem, the environment, environmental justice. You know, we're destroying the areas of the Amazon, areas of Africa that have swamp areas that give aid to our ecosystem. We're destroying it. We have to stop these things. All right? We have to respect the environment. We have to respect animals. We have to respect plants. We're all in this together. I'm running on the issue that of a type of education that would be responsible to the growth of a society. Education that deals with solar and nuclear. All of that is important. I'm running on a policy of healthcare, universal healthcare. You know, the first person to bring up universal healthcare was Harry Truman in the 1940s. Obama tried, but he got caught away. But we need to have that discussion. I'm running on the issue of reparations. Some of you say, why? That's terrible. You know, you're not going to get nothing. Well, reparations were extended to certain Native American groups, extended to Asian Americans, Japanese Americans, even extended to illegals. President Biden 2 years ago tried to do a sidebar secret deal to give reparations to illegal immigrants of approximately $750,000 apiece, $1 million per household. That's what President Biden tried to do. Don't take my words. Look it up for yourself. It's there. Then apologize. But the reparations. African Americans built this country. We died for human rights. We fought in every major conflict, every conflict this country had, from the American Revolution to the one they're about to start now. And everybody has come into the group, come into the country, and put the African down farther and farther. At one time, the African American was the most important, was the shot callers of all minority groups. Now, you're behind light-skinned Latinos. You're behind light-skinned Muslims. You're behind the transgender homosexual alliance. You're number 4. And now you're begging other people to say a little bit about what you care about. But in reality, you're pushing their agenda. You should be saddened by this. You should be embarrassed. You should be heart-sick about this. I am. So therefore, reparations is the thing. When they give it to us, it's going to be a battle. I'm calling on all academics. If you're worth your weight for that PhD that you have, you walk around and you got tenure, then utilize your skills to help us frame an argument for our people. Don't be so weak. Don't punk out. Use your skills. You got them. Unless you just want to walk around and have someone call you doctor. Well, if you want to do that, then leave us the hell alone and go someplace else. Today, we need real people, real thinkers. We don't need showboaters on Facebook and Twitter and all this other stuff. We need people to do the work. That's one thing I have to respect in reference to the boys on the street. You know, when they're out there selling their thing, they put in the work in. The mafia, you got to put the work in. And the same thing, if you want to do something that's righteous and good, you got to put the work in. So all you mathematicians, historians, political scientists, legal scholars, work with me so we can have a real argument. All right, so we can take this and make a deal. Trump would say, make a deal for our people. Don't be afraid. Fear will get you nothing but death. Bravery will give you everlasting life, because you go down in the aisles of our history as being a freedom fighter for our people. That's a martyr. That's admirable. So, so we got to do these things. I'm running on an element of life. I value life. Our next great leader, you don't know, the Messiah may come from one of you sisters out there. I value life. That's the reality of this. I value better trade with Africa and Asia. Trade with Africa. I mean, and African Americans, you got to get out of this business and thinking that I'm going to Africa, I'm going to bring something to them. Africa in reality can bring something to you. We have scholars in Africa. We have people who are creating their own vehicles. We have young people developing drones. We have electrical engineers, nuclear engineers. We got everything there. We got the land. So trade with Africa. Understand Africa. Get out of this monolithic thing that is us against them. The Africans and the African American, the Afro-Latinos, the Afro-Caribbean, the Afro-European, the Afro-Asian. Yes, there's a lot of black people in Japan and China and India. The Afro-Russian, the Afro-Norwegian. Everywhere you see in this world, you find African community. We all need each other to fight against what is upon us. So if these principles are in line with you, support our campaign. People call me and say, I'm with you and I'm praying for you. I appreciate your prayers. Really, I do. And I appreciate your du'as. That's prayers in the Islamic fashion. And I appreciate if you practice an African-based religion, the candles that you set for me. I appreciate all of that. But we also need finance. Did you know, Lance, that the powers that be has put $1.5 million to stop my campaign? They are terrified of the unity and the reasonable and the sense that I'm making. They are fearful of that. So they're out to stop us. I need your support. You put on this on your page, Lance, if you can, how they can support us. I don't need, if each one of you just take the time to send us $10, $20. What is $10? That's a Big Mac and a fry and a soda.
That's right.
That's all what it is. Just say that you're sending Brother Issa, Dr. Issa White, Vibrant Issa White, a Big Mac today. That's all. Send it. But the kids, send $2. We're always talking about we got to have proper people. But help me. Help me. All right? Because other people, they contacted me, Lance.
Wow.
Other groups, and I'm not taking a cent. I'm not taking a cent from these people who are contrary to our interests. They want to drop money on me, but I'm not a whore. Like Fred Hampton of the Black Panthers used to say, he's high. He's high on his people. I'm high on us. But please help me. You can do this. I don't care if you're in New York or Australia, California, Hawaii. You just go to that button on the campaign, Dr. Issa for Congress, and push that little button of donations. $10, bam. If you want to feel a little bit better about yourself, $20, bam. If you feel real good, $50, bam.
Yep.
If you just feel exuberant, $100, bam. If you just straight up, you just get the Holy Ghost, push that $500 or $1,000 button. But seriously, whatever you can do, it will be appreciated and it will be used wisely for our people. And I guarantee you, if God, you give me the opportunity to represent our people, the African world, within the halls of Congress, I'll never let you down. You'll be proud of me. We'll be proud of each other. You know, Lance, I will always have an open door policy. Always. So listen, I want to thank you.
Thank you, brother.
Lance, I didn't tell you, but I'm planning on coming to your town in March.
You're always welcome. Oh, wow.
Yeah. I want to come there in March. I want to hang out with the brothers. You stay in the country, so I'm going to bypass Accra after I land there.
We're close to Accra. We're close, 30 minutes away, so we can get the best.
Oh yeah,
I'm always in Accra. Yes.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought you lived in the country, because Accra is a city of about 3 million people.
Yeah. I live in the country. It's like the Bat Cave compared to Gotham City.
That's where I want to go. I want to go in the country, eat some coconut, drink some coconut water, get a mango, kill my own chicken.
We got it all in the backyard.
Cook my. Do you have chickens back there, Lance?
Not yet.
Are you raising chickens?
Soon.
Yeah, I want to sacrifice my own chicken. So I know what I'm getting. Okay.
All right.
Yeah. So listen, may Allah bless you. I gotta go,
brother.
And I think my son calling me. Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thank you for having me.
All right, brother.
Okay.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure. Okay. Always. Thank you so much, everybody. We're coming back tonight with some more. Trust and believe.
Yes, I got to meet my friend Lance. This is my first time meeting him in person, and he's a very kind man, seriously. I do talk with him on phone, on WhatsApp, but I've never got to meet him. But today, he's just extraordinary. He's very, anything you want to know about life, anything you want to know about just human, anything you want to know about life, please. YouTube, Telegram, Instagram, Twitter, all the social media channels, you got to find him there. He's very inspiring. He's very positive. If you want anything positive about life, please subscribe to LANCESCURV. And then every day you got to see different videos, different talks, different topics about life. See you.